and welcome to our live of the day. Have you guys noticed something different? I usually go live in the afternoon. Now it's morning time, all right? We're bright and early. The early bird gets the worm. So, my name is Cheta. For those of you who don't know me, I am 17 years old and I am the head of the EntreMD merch division. But today I get to interview a very amazing, beautiful doctor. This is one of my aunties. Okay, so when I speak to her, I don't go doctor, I go auntie. So she's one of those people. So, if you can, please introduce yourself and let's get started.
Absolutely. I'm excited to hang out with you. Yay! Okay, all right. I am Auntie Dr. Latifat. I'm a GI doctor. I'm a mama of three ladies and the founder of Money Fit MD, which is a platform that's 100% committed to helping women physicians have more money, live richly, and build wealth so they can live life and practice medicine on their terms.
That's good. That kind of sounds like the mantra my mother has. I like that. Live life, practice medicine on their own terms. See, like one of the things I heard was three girls. So you're only females, no boys.
No boys,
No boys.
no
Wow.
dudes, no dudes.
How is that?
It is fantastic. It's funny when I used to think I was the most ungirly girl ever, and so it felt like a sense of him. Like God had a sense of humor. Of all of my siblings, I'm the least girly of them. So to think that I would be the one that had like three girls, but what I've realized is I'm the exact right person to raise those girls. So it's been an honor. My oldest one is 12.
Oh,
My youngest is 7, and I'm excited to be raising leaders and powerful women.
that's good. That's amazing. Okay, so I hear from a little birdie that you've written a book, and I believe that's what we're talking about today. So I know that you have written a book before, and that one was, I believe, Done with Broke. And I know my mom bought it, and it was an Amazon bestseller, and I heard all of the good things. So why did you feel the need to write a second book? Like, what was missing from the first book that you're like, okay, I have to make another one? So what was that?
To be completely honest and transparent, I had no plans of even writing a first book, not to talk about a second book. And you know that a third one is already in the mind.
Mhm.
And the reason why I wrote the first one was really because I, as a woman physician, went into medicine to do good things in the world. But what I did not realize was that money was going to be an important factor in doing good things in the world, meaning that as a physician, with all the data we have with burnout and stress and the changes in medicine, it is important for physicians to be well. And you cannot be well without financial wellness.
Yeah.
And so I had to learn that for myself 8 years ago, where I went from knowing zero about money to really making major changes and getting amazing results in a short amount of time. And what I realized was that I thought that I was bad with money. I thought that money was a language that was for somebody else, not for me. I thought I was too busy to do money. I thought money was going to be too hard. But what I realized in retrospect, and after teaching hundreds and hundreds of women physicians, was that money is actually not hard. We're just not taught in a
Mhm.
language that makes sense for us. We're not taught in a way that is specific to us, that is applicable to us. And so my very first book, Done with Broke, was really a guide for women physicians who want to learn money, who want to have money. And I wrote down there the concise, succinct information that took me from negative $200,000 to having seven figures within 5 years, even though I started knowing nothing about money, without working extra shifts, without selling my kidneys, without selling my kids. Although sometimes, I've considered that option. So that was what Done with Broke was about. So think about it as a money management guide.
Mhm.
And the feedback we've gotten from people that have read it, it's been amazing how it's changed their life, how it's changed their finances, and really helped them understand that money is a thing that they can do. So their relationship with money was changed. And
Mhm.
I thought I was done because that was what I was here to teach. However, something has happened in the world over the last couple of years where there's been a huge shift in medicine. You probably are aware burnout is high in medicine.
Mhm.
Private practice doctors are stressing out. Physicians, good physicians, badass leaders are struggling to maintain their autonomy in medicine. And there were some specific events that I saw happen as well that really that made me curious to the fact that there was something that we were doing. So I run a money school for women physicians, which is our 12-month coaching community where women come in regardless of where they are with their finances with one goal in mind. They want to build wealth, they want to live richly, and they want to live life and practice medicine on their terms.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the things that I'd seen happen was there was one of our physicians who got fired from a job, literally got fired, no warning, amazing doctor, had some health issues, needed time off. And instead of getting a no or a yes, she was literally fired
Wow.
because there was a change in leadership. And so when she came in, of course, she was devastated. But one thing that I remember was that I coached her on one of our sessions. And my thing for her is what would need to happen in the next year that would make your life so ridiculously different that you would find the person that fired you and you almost want to say thank you because
Mm-hmm.
your life is so dramatically better.
Yeah.
And that was what she did. So something that could have been devastating ended up helping her become a different person where she started investing in real estate. Within 6 months, she owned real estate, I think it was a triplex. She started her own micro practice. She was working part-time for another practice and negotiated so well because she's like, I threaten people that if you don't negotiate, I'm going to come cut your fingers off. So she did not want to lose her fingers. So she negotiated well. And as a primary care doctor, she said, I'm making more money than I'd ever imagined ever making. She launched her T line, right? So again, something happened that could have been devastating, but did not devastate her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Another physician as well. I mean, so many stories like a woman physician who was divorced. Um, and there was some changes in her economic state as a result of the divorce. And she found out that after working together, that she was getting paid about $100,000 less than many of her colleagues were getting paid right in the same city next door to her.
Mm-hmm.
And so she wanted to negotiate that what the salary was. And so she was prepared. And anytime you negotiate, you may get a yes or you may get a no. For her, she got a no. But in order for her to be able to negotiate, she had to be in a state where she had to be positioned and prepped and had her tools in place so that regardless of the outcome of the meeting, she was going to be fine.
Yeah.
But then after they declined that, after they said no to her negotiation, she had to make a choice. Because what happens is many times when physicians feel unappreciated, undervalued, um, not compensated for the work they do, asked to supervise people that they may not agree with their plan of care or their level of training, what happens is when we don't have the power to choose, when we feel trapped or stuck, it actually accelerates our burnout. And I think that many times we use the term burnout and it's become so sterile that it's lost the impact. And for many people, when they feel trapped and they think they cannot get out, it literally kills them, not just like physically, but it kills their soul. And part of
Mm-hmm.
that is what we
Yeah.
have termed as part of burnout. But in this situation, she left her job. So I'm looking at this women that things were happening to them, but their outcomes were very, very different from the typical outcome, from the narrative, from what most people would do. And so I literally got down, I got curious about what are we doing in the money school? What are the framework? What are the things that I'm teaching this women that this women are learning that literally is changing their outcome? And that is what is the power to choose. And so power to choose really is that guide for what I call financial liberation, which is the ability for women physicians to be able to position themselves, be prepped, so that they would never, ever, ever feel trapped ever again.
That's good. And so that I feel like that kind of ties in with the next question I had because I did want to ask, like, why is it critical for women physicians to exercise their power to choose? And you kind of expanded on that. Do you mind going deeper?
Absolutely. I will do anything you ask me. Is that all you want me to do? That's it. Listen, whatever you want, just ask me. I know. I'm like, just yes, I know. Yes, I'm that auntie. But anyways, so if you think about it, like I mentioned earlier, burnout is huge.
Mm-hmm.
60% of physicians, and I'm sure there's more because physicians, we don't like to speak out because
Yeah.
of shame, because of guilt. We've sacrificed so much that we think that when we verbalize the fact that the status quo is not working, we almost think that the people that suffered from our sacrifice, quote unquote, are gonna go like, see, you should have made a different decision. So we don't want to regret. And
Yeah.
that's why we don't speak out. So about 60% of physicians have been reported to have at least one symptom of burnout, but I think that's definitely underreported. Most physicians, if you give them a choice about this is not based on any data that I can think of, but I would say about 70% of physicians, if you give them a choice, they will leave. They will go do something else. And that is bad. It's not just bad for them, it's bad for the community, because we know that when people are not working at the best of their ability, if they're not excited about the work they do, if they're not engaged, more likely to make medical errors, right? More likely to not show empathy to our patients.
Mhm. Yeah.
And empathy is not just about how our patients feel, it's hearing our patients so that we can take care of the mother, the daughter, the father, the sibling in front of us, right?
Mhm.
So when physicians are not well, it affects so many people.
Yeah.
And when you think about, so that's like burnout external. But the other thing that I'm also reminding people is that our lives and our times are so valuable. Like, we have finite amount of time on this earth, and there are things that we are meant to do that when we're not doing it because we think we're trapped. If you know that you're meant to start your own practice, if you know that you're meant to take a sabbatical and travel the world, if you're meant to work part-time, like whatever it is you're meant to do, if you're not doing it in the seasons that you're meant to do it, there's so much that is suffering and at stake. It's not just you, it's not just your kids, it's not just your family, but it's the people that you could impact, the good that you could do, the people that you could give, the relationships. I get to hang out with you because I don't work today,
Mhm.
right? I
Yeah.
get to do that. I get to write a book that will change the life of thousands and thousands of people because I'm not trapped in my life. So when we think about what the cost of not doing that is, it is the most expensive price we're ever going to pay as a society. Is, you can call it quiet quitting of physicians, right? And so this is not just important, but it's important like right now. It is important like 2 years ago. It is an urgent problem that we need to solve, which is we need to equip physicians. Physicians need to equip, and we're not going to wait for people to help us because we're tired of waiting for them, right? So physicians need to be equipped, and we need to equip ourselves so that we're never, ever, ever trapped, ever. Because when we're trapped, we're paying the ultimate price already.
Mhm. Yeah, I like that. I think something that I've noticed kind of with the school system, right, is that financial literacy isn't taught at all. And so I am eternally grateful to my parents for pulling me out of school and homeschooling me, because in school you learn, Bible, math, science, and that's probably about it. But with the homeschooling curriculum that we have, there is the financial aspect of things where you're taught how to save money, how to use the money, how to invest the money. Something that my dad is constantly, he's like, I need you to invest your money, invest your money. I'll find something and just invest your money in it. And so, like, we have all of those things. You have like the productivity thinking time where you read a book, you kind of meditate on the book. What did you get out of the book? What are the areas of your life that you're gonna apply that book to? And so, forever grateful to my parents for that, because they're the education that other people aren't getting, that we're currently getting. And that, as young as, I think the youngest one is 10, she just turned 10, but like we're already learning how to apply things like that into our life. So that's I love that, absolutely. And I
Absolutely.
may not be a physician, but I am a woman, so I think I'll be reading the book as
Yes,
well.
girl. Yes, girl. Listen, you better. My daughters have read my book.
Oh yeah.
They have read even like Power to Choose. And I agree with you that not everyone may want to homeschool their kids, but
Mhm.
everyone can supplement their
Yeah.
education. My kids, they're not homeschooled. They go to school, but we supplement their education. And
Mhm.
the ability to supplement their education is based on us giving ourselves some breathing room
Yeah.
and time in order to be able to do that. And how do you get your time? It's what I wrote about in Done with Brooke. It's what I wrote about in The Power to Choose, right? So even this summer, our kids are playing, but they have a curriculum, they have a schedule, and
Mhm.
our youngest is 7. And part of that is there's business education, there's personal finance, there's Bible education, there's things like, I
Home management.
yeah, my
Yeah.
7-year-old just hand sewed like a shirt yesterday for herself, and she wore it yesterday,
That's
right?
good.
So, these things are important, but you can supplement, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Just start from one. Like, what I do during the summer is different from what I do during the school year, right?
Mhm.
But even during the school year, my kids will go with me to event and sell my books and
Mhm.
sell Stocksy Doc, like all of that stuff. They're never too young,
Yeah.
because this is actually when the foundation of how they see the world and how they do money. If you think about it, many of us, our beliefs about money actually stem from when we're young.
Mhm.
So And we're teaching our kids whether we like it or not. It's the answer you give them when you're at the grocery store and they're pointing at something to buy, and like, oh, we don't have money. Is that really true? Is it that you don't have money, or is it that this is not how we've chosen to
To-
spend our money? Or
Yeah.
what's the opportunity cost? Like if we spend it this way, this is we're not going to be able to spend it that way. So what do we want to choose? Right.
Mhm.
So if you don't learn money, you literally are already teaching your kids a foundation, and it may not be the foundation that you would wish on your, on people you love.
Yeah. Okay. So then, what would you have to say to someone that is like trapped? Like they feel trapped. They feel like they are, stuck in a specific place. Like, what were like, let's say, three things that you would suggest that they start doing now?
Absolutely. One of the things that happens to physicians when they feel trapped, and what that may sound like is, I don't have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
I do what everyone says.
Says.
One of my someone that I know has a funeral coming up, and in like 6 weeks, and she asked for time to go to the funeral, and the first response was, well, find a replacement. Like, this is a life event.
Mm-hmm.
Those things kill us a little by little. But what I told her is, I'm like, you're going to the funeral one way or the other. We can plan for it, or it can happen last minute. But the thing is, being trapped has consequences. So the first thing I want to say is just to like pause. That's the first thing, right? Because the hamster wheel you're grinding on is not going to take you anywhere. And
Yeah.
if it takes you anywhere, it's taking you farther away from where you want to be. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the first thing. And the reason why I pause is because you cannot make the best decisions from the same thought process that landed you in the pothole that you're in. You're going to have to use a different thought process. So if you keep going, it's like a GPS. It's like, make a U-turn, make a U-turn, but you keep going, make a U-turn. You're going further and further away. So just pause for a second.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm saying pause, like just slow down your thinking, stop thinking for a second. That's the number one thing. And what that does is that it also helps you switch away from this crazy fight or flight sympathetic nervous system path to more of a parasympathetic slowing down. And for you, I'll just explain that a little bit. When people are in their sympathetic nervous system, that's what happens when a lion is running after you. But your brain cannot tell the difference of whether it's a lion that's running after you, or if it's the fact that your job sucks right now. It's
Oh,
just that sympathetic nervous system.
mm-hmm.
And when you're in that survival mode, the way that our bodies are designed is that the blood supply goes to the things that help you escape. Your legs, you want to run, like this legs better not run out of blood and oxygen, right? But that's not the time that your body's not going to be putting blood supply to your brain at that point. So you cannot make the best decisions when you're in fight or flight state, right? So that's one of the things, and that's one of the reasons why I say to slow down and pause a little bit so that you can start to switch from the sympathetic nervous system to the parasympathetic nervous
Mm-hmm.
system, or at least just slow down a little bit so your brain can actually get perfused and you
Yeah.
can think. The number two thing is, ask yourself the question of, what's the truth right now? What is it that makes me think I don't have a choice?
Mm-hmm.
Why do I think that this is the only option that I have? Because you never have only one option, and you almost never have two options. There's always a third option. And so, but you're not going to know it if you're only looking at the lowest, like the lowest hanging fruit, right? So asking yourself, why do I feel trapped? Many times people will come back to money. It's because, my kids are in school, my kids' education, our mortgage, our health insurance, and start to just write those down, put them down on paper on the reasons why you think that you're trapped, because all of that has a number to it. All of that has a number, whether it's your rent, mortgage, the kids' education, health insurance, all of that has a number to it, right? And so that helps you now create, you can call the emergency fund, but in this setting, I like to think about it as having what I call the financial liberation plan, which is your financial plan that helps you be free, to be liberated, to never be stuck. And so asking yourself, what do I actually need in order, like if I was to walk away right now, if someone said, I am going to pay for what you need so that you can walk away, what would you tell me that you needed?
Mm-hmm.
Write those down. What are the numbers? And then whatever that number is, multiply it by 3 to 6. And that is what we will call your financial liberation number. Or if you want to call it your emergency fund, that's okay as well. But the key is that literally is the number you need. At the max, you need 6 months of your expenses met in order to be fine. Because as long as you're a physician, And the people that are listening to this episode are going to be good physicians. As long as you're a good physician, you don't need 6 months to make another income source. So that's number two thing that I'll talk about is just putting it down on paper and putting a number to it. There is a number, and it's not as high as you think. Many times, people, maybe someone makes like $300,000 a year, $400,000 a year. They have a fallacy that I need to have $400,000 a year in order to be free, or I need to reach my financial independence number. And what financial independence number is, Cheta, you go and read my first book, and then you know what financial independence.
Yes, ma'am.
It's in there for you. But it's your yearly expenses multiplied by 25. People think they have to have that. I want you to have all that, and you will have that. But what the power to choose is about freedom for physicians, really a cure to burnout, being trapped, being stuck. And so the numbers that I want you to focus on is that financial liberation plan and the financial liberation plan number. And then the third thing that I like to say is you want a plan. And the plan, most times as physicians, we think it has to be a permanent plan. It doesn't have to be permanent, but you want something that's your stepping stones in the temporary. And it's how would I earn income if I was not earning it from my medical degree, from my clinical income, excuse me. And the way you do that is it could be finding other ways that are non-clinical that you can earn with your degree, or even clinical. It could be telemedicine, it could be locums, it could be consulting. I love consulting. I love consulting. It could be speaking, it could be investment outside of, could be investment in real estate, investment in businesses. There's like 5 billion ways you can make money, right? And so knowing what those are and doing some right now, or knowing that at least it's available for you, will let you know that you're someone that can always walk away. There's a lot more that I can share, but the best thing that I would tell people to do is to check out The Power to Choose. It's on Amazon. Literally for less than $20, you could be free in like 3 months. Like, how crazy is that for $20? $20. And if you buy both books, less than $40, and you will be way, way, way above where most of the population is right now.
That's good. So you kind of already answered my next question, which was how can people get the book? So you can get it on Amazon. It's less than $20. But then the next one will be where can people find you? Where can they find you? Where can they follow you if they want to get in contact?
Absolutely. The easiest way to find me and to start to learn how you can also like literally gather your tools, because every physician needs to gather their tools. Like y'all need to y'all just like gather your tools, right? Your money tools, because this is too important for us to like not even do. The easiest way is you can find my podcast. We're on YouTube, but we're also on any other podcast listening platforms. And the name of our podcast is Money Fit MD, and we have over 200 episodes, about over 250 episodes actually, where I focus on practical mindset or actionable things that you can start to do to change how you think about money, how you do money, how you have money, how you invest in money. And I just love hearing messages from people about how just listening to the podcast changes their life, changes their game. And so if you're asking the easiest way to find me, I would absolutely say that. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, Money Fit MD. You can see my name in the under my name here. And that's the easiest way. But if you're like, I want to start to learn that, or the book, those are the best places to start. But of course, we have the money school as well for people that are ready to go all in and want the community, the coaching, the accountability, the concise education so they can stop wasting time. It would be an honor to chat with you and serve you. But podcasts and books are the easiest places to start.
I think I'll be your next podcast listener. I was listening to an episode from my mom's podcast, and then like 2 days later, I go to Spotify and I see like I feel like I know who this person is. Why are they on my feed? And you're still there, so I think I'll indulge and I'll go there. But I do have a few bonus questions. So number one, you and my mother, how did that happen? How did you guys meet? Where did that start?
We met at the club. I needed to tell you that because I didn't see. I'm just joking. That was a joke. Your mother is probably the comment right now, like, "Oh my goodness, what you like?" Ridiculously crazy. But no, so it's crazy how we met. This was back in 2020, which is crazy. And thanks for asking that because I get to reflect on it. So this was at the beginning of the pandemic. People were stressed out about money. Physicians were getting fired. And at that point, I had been helping people with their money, but I hadn't put my foot down as Money Fit MD because I did not want to be an entrepreneur. I was a happy physician mom. I was living my best life.
Mhm.
Why would I want to add entrepreneurship to my life? But then I was like, it was at a point where people were worried and I had like zero concern about money, which meant that I could do things like take care of my kids, their mental health, my community, and all of this other stuff. And literally, I rolled my eyes because I felt like I had no choice but to actually help people learn the tools that I had that took
Mhm.
me from knowing nothing about money to literally creating the life that I wanted within 5 years. And so I ran into your mother's podcast. And so I was listening to it. That was before, EntreMD Business School. And I
Mhm.
remember reaching out to her and we got on a call. We chatted. I remember I was in the garage when I talked to her. And I was like, yeah, I'm thinking about doing this. And she's like, you should definitely do it. And so I hired her as my coach. So I worked with her as my private coach for 6 months in 2020. And honestly, I probably would have kept on talking myself out of doing Money Fit MD if I did not decide to hire someone that was actually going to help me. And
Mhm.
so that's how we got to know each other. And of course, over the last 5 years, she's become my sister, good friend. And it just really is an honor to I guess, to walk life with her. And I love her heart. I love her heart. I love people that care about other humans. I love people that are grounded. I love people that are generous. And your mother exemplifies all of that. So it's yeah, I like her. Where I like her, and she's obviously my sister now. So
Mhm.
it's been an honor. But the importance of getting the support and coaching, guys. I imagine if I did not start Money Fit MD, the bottom line is this: many times when it comes to getting support for coaching, people think about the money, and it is valid. But I'll tell you something that my husband says: the money is going to be spent anyway. You might as well spend it on a way that is going to change your future.
Mhm.
And so, for those that are thinking about hiring a coach, business coach, money coach, your money is getting spent anyway. You might as well spend it on something that's going to get you more money and give
Yeah,
you more freedom and serve more people than you may even ever have served as a physician, which is what I get to do now.
that's good. Okay, and then so I saw you at EntreMD Live, and so I have like kind of like three-ish kind of questions. So like, why did you come? Was it worth the trip? If you don't mind sharing, what was an aha moment that you had?
Was I glad? Oh, of course I was glad I came. Absolutely. I've been thinking about coming in the previous years, but I just didn't for some reason. So this year I was like, you know what? Let me go hang out with my people. And also, I'm intentional. My time is of value. So I'm very, very intentional about how I spend my time. But I
Mhm.
love in person events. I think in person events definitely accelerates networking, conversations, and all this other stuff. So I came, Dr. Chia Gozefali also was there, and it was amazing to meet physicians that I've been, you know, talking to online. I met some of my clients that I'd never met in person, networking, encouraging people. Just, I love physicians. So being able to even something like talk to physicians are like, oh yeah, I need help with my bill. I'm like, what do you have the help you need? They're like, no, like get the help you need. So I just any opportunity I can have to support, serve physicians, and learn. And one of the things I will tell you this actually, what was surprising to me was people would come to me at the conference like, "Oh my goodness, I did not know you were going to be here. You should know all. You don't. You're like beyond this." And I'm like, there people don't understand something, and I think it's important to state this: is people that are very successful have to be. If you want to be very successful, you have to be humble enough to keep learning.
Mhm.
Part of what we struggle with as physicians is we think there's a point where we can stop learning, where we can stop growing. And when you stop growing, you start dying, literally. And
Yeah.
for me, I loved it. Was great to be there. It was great to network with people. It was great to see you introduce your mama. That was a lot of fun. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun for sure. And I would say that one of the things that I got from there was reinforced, I would say, is a conversation that I was already having with my team. And it's, when it comes to like how you use your team, how you utilize your team, right? You can use them for tasks or you can use them for outcomes. Nobody likes being micromanaged. And outcomes,
Mhm.
if you have the right team members, they're gonna love when you like when you reinforce the outcomes that they're here to create, because now they're like, oh, I get to create that. Like the good people get excited about outcome, the lazy people get, want tasks, and they may not be the right people for your team. So that was a great reinforcement of a conversation that was already happening. But it was absolutely, I flew from California there. And again, in-person events are so important. I have one that's coming up in September in San Diego, California, and I cannot wait to get women together that are like-minded, mission-oriented, want to have money, have freedom, and that's the value of in-person events.
That's good. Absolutely amazing. I heard some, like other testimonials, and I saw like people who are making videos, and it seemed like that specific event just had a really big impact on people. So all I can say is that when EntreMD Live 2026 comes around, it would be wise for you to be inside the room. That's all I can tell you. That's all I
Is
have.
the registration open yet for
I
the dates?
honestly I have no idea.
Okay, all right. Okay. Y'all need to go sign up. Absolutely.
She said it's open. It's
It's
open.
open. Okay. All right. So make sure that people on TRMD 2026,
Yes.
2026, right? Yes. Go
2026,
sign up.
entremd.com/live.
And people are like, I don't know what's going to be happening in my life. Well, why does everything else have to happen in your life for you to plan around? You can plan around important events. If you
Mhm.
decide it's important, you will plan your life around it.
Yeah.
That's how you make things happen.
Yes. That's good. Okay, so it has been a pleasure interviewing you. This has been fun. I'm glad I was able to take up some of your time and you answered a lot of questions that I had. And both books, I'll make sure. I think we have book number one. I think we have both books inside the house. I'll find them the next time reading time comes around. I'll be reading the both of them. But thank you so much for this. I really appreciate it. I hope you had fun.
This was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me on. And let me ask you a question, actually. I'm going to ask you a question
Ooh,
because,
okay.
Dr. Latifat, so what is one thing you're taking away from this conversation?
Um, I think the importance of financial literacy, like I value it a little bit, but I think after this and like learning about, the burnout that people go through because they feel like they don't have the power to choose, I think it's something that I'll take more into consideration. So like when it comes up in house topics or like school, rather than just, kind of scrolling through and just reading for the sake of reading, I'll read for the sake of like learning so that it when a situation arises, I feel like, okay, I have the power to choose, I can do this, and I already have the knowledge, I'm already equipped with the knowledge to execute this decision. So definitely that.
Absolutely. And I will say that if you actually do what you just said, Cheta at age 35 will be so grateful for you. Like 35, not even like 70 or 90 or 35, will thank you for making a decision that is different than many of your peers. So it will be worth it.
Okay, thank you so much.
My pleasure.